Ready?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to another video edition of the Roll Toddy Draft Blog. We've been a little delayed here, but it's been a rowdy college football season. So Herbie, how you doing? How have you been enjoying the last few weeks?
Well, it's been a struggle for me, as you know. I've had a tough couple of weeks prior to this past one. I can see that dumb grin on your face. I'm sure you're very thrilled with the way that your life is going.
First place doesn't feel too bad. No.
Yeah. Well, we were almost there. But we're not. But we're in the top 10, so we're hanging in there. It was definitely devastating. 2 close losses for my Rebels, but we're right there, baby. We are headed to Fayetteville this weekend, and excited for the challenge. And I'm sure my Rebels will prevail. And I also hate you.
And just like you had Presbyterian last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, excuse me. Bama has Western Carolina, so it's really going to be a riveting matchup.
Well, I hear that is going to be a tough one. I hear their quarterback play has been outstanding, and you're in trouble.
Some circles would agree. But enough of our own teams. We're going to move on to some NFL draft prospects in college. You know, we're coming down here to the really the home stretch, the first playoff. 2 weeks left in the season. So let's talk about guys who have really impressed us. And, you know, this is the time of year where really the top draft prospects seem to show up and play the best and play their best football of the year. So let's start on the offensive side of the ball. So, Herbie, who is your top NFL draft prospect offensively who is not a quarterback? Because we're going to go back and forth between Jameis and Mariota all offseason. So let's talk about the other guys who are not on top of who are on top of the draft who aren't quarterbacks.
I think this one's just, a no-brainer. Melvin Gordon. The kid is an absolute freak. You want to put up 408 yards, you better believe you're going to be at the top of everyone's list. The kid runs with power, he runs with finesse. He is made for the NFL tomorrow. He's made for the NFL yesterday. So, I'm excited to see what this kid does the rest of the season. He just keeps pumping out, 200-yard gains, and now he's at 400. So he can clearly, he runs that pro-style offense, and I think he's ready for the NFL. I was just so blown away by that game this past weekend and what he did. I was in the snow, I was blown away by Melvin Gordon. He is my number one offensive prospect going in the draft.
There's no doubt that 408 yards in 3 quarters is probably one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. But my only issue with Melvin Gordon is the fact that Wisconsin running backs don't go to the NFL or they don't translate very well because there's so much just impact. They're beaten up by the time they get there by how many carries they took. Now, granted, it only took him 25 carries to get to 408 yards, and if he comes out this year, there's going to be a lot less wear and tear than there would be on, say, a Monte Ball or a Ron Dane when he came out, who played for a lot of teams but had a pretty average career despite being one of the all-time great running backs in college football. To me, you know who I'm going with. It's Amari Cooper.
I figured. You didn't even really have to say it.
I thought that because you've been talking about Amari Cooper all year, I thought you might have picked him, but when you didn't, it left me open to pick Amari Cooper. Leading the nation receiving. He scores a touchdown, and he scored a touchdown every game except for one against Arkansas. And Saban said it best: when you have a no-hitter going with all fastballs and you throw a changeup and it goes out of the yard, why change what's working? The Lane Kiffin offense has been built to throw to Amari Cooper, and they're making it work. He's not the only option. Alabama has other good receivers, but he's the only option they've needed to go with because of how good he's been. And if you look at him, he has breakaway speed. He has good enough size. He's about 6'1". He's just over 200 pounds. He can break tackles. He can juke you in the open field. He can spin off of you. Really, he is the complete wide receiver. And it would be scary if he was 6'5", but 6'1", 6'2", with his skill set is just fine. And I think Amari Cooper is going to be a top 3 to 5 draft pick for one of those teams sitting up there who need playmakers. And I think he can come in and have an immediate impact in the NFL.
Yeah, there's no doubt. This kid just makes plays. I've been talking about him all season. You know that. He is a magnet to the ball. You just have to put that ball in a spot. That's what Lane Kiffin's been doing. Blake Sims, put this ball here. Amari Cooper will be there, and he will catch it. It's basically what's been going on. And his ability in the NFL is so. obviously we have no issue with Alabama wide receivers in the NFL. He's ready to be there. He's top 10 pick, no doubt in my mind. And there's a team that needs him. There's going to be a team that needs him right away. And he's going to come in and he's going to flourish in the NFL. I 100% agree with you.
I think that what you go back to and you just look at, the only really highlight I need to look at for Amari Cooper is the Tennessee game. First play of the game.
Exactly.
First offensive play for Alabama. He goes 80 yards on what was just a little quick underneath pass, a rollout by Blake Sims, throw it 3 yards, he takes it 80. He can break tackles, beat defenders in the open field. He's shifty, he's fast. There's just no reason not to love everything about Amari Cooper. Now, there are a lot of good offensive tackles, and I almost went with Andres Pete, but the simple fact is that, like we said, there are a lot of offensive tackles in this draft that you can find. I don't know if there's another playmaker overall like Amari Cooper in this draft. Someone you could go with, though, is definitely Todd Gurley. But now that knee injury, you start to worry just a little bit.
I think that drops him down definitely. God, I mean, you know how he can play. You can easily pull a move like the 49ers did to Marcus Lattimore. Obviously, that didn't pan out. I don't think this one is as serious, but
I agree. I think that with medical technology and just the advances they've made in that ACL surgery, there's no reason to believe Todd Gurley won't still be taken in the mid to late first round. And if he falls early to the second, that's just a steal.
I just don't think. I don't think he makes it past the second round. There's no way.
I don't believe so either. But now let's move to the defensive side of the ball. Herbie, who is a defensive player in college football? There have been a lot of great ones this season. But who has really impressed you, and who do you think sticks around in the top 5 or top 10 or will be considered one of the top defensive prospects in your eyes?
I guess when you put it like that, might not be the right guy, and I'm obviously biased towards this direction. I wanted to go with Gerard Holloman with his 13 picks, as it's absurd. Obviously, he's not coming out. So I'm going to go with Senquez Golson. I think he's had an unbelievable season. He just intercepts the ball. It's just what he does. He's just in the area at the right time. Obviously, there's a little bit of a size concern, but he plays bigger than that. His athletic ability is unbelievable. He can change directions on a dime, and he can really keep up with anybody. And he's been such a key component to our defense along with Cody Pruitt. I just think there's no way to overlook. I don't know if he's a first rounder. I don't think he's a first rounder, but I think he's definitely risen from maybe what he potentially could have been a 4th or 5th. Definitely passed. Could maybe be a second rounder. I think 2nd to 3rd is where you'll see him go.
I think Golson has really impressed people this year, and I agree. You're right. He's not the biggest guy, but neither was the Honey Badger, and he still was a first-round pick till he got hurt, got kicked out of LSU. And Tyrann Mathieu still found a way to be a 3rd-round pick after not playing football for a year, and he's only 5'7". Golson is, for his size, he's a very physical corner. He has great hands and ball skills. You saw him, he did a great job on Amari Cooper in that Alabama-Ole Miss game. And he has 9 interceptions. So the guy knows how to play coverage. I think he's a guy who could be great in the slot, or even, maybe switch up to play some free safety and cover more than enough ground and have more than enough of a nose for the ball to really be effective in the NFL. I think he's definitely done a lot for his draft stock, and I agree. Personally, I think that Leonard Williams, the defensive end, really he's just a defensive lineman. He can play anywhere on the line, is the top defensive prospect in the draft. But who I like the most is Shane Ray, the defensive end out of Missouri. Now, being here in Chicago now, there are a ton of Missouri grads. I work with a lot of them, and I've met a lot more. And, I said, I don't think Missouri can come back. You lose Michael Sam. You lose a bunch of people on offense and defense. I don't think that, Missouri can compete, especially defensively. And a buddy of mine said, do you know who Shane Ray is? I said, yeah, but, he's smaller. He was good last year, but that's just because he had good players around him. Well, Shane Ray has shut me up and proven me wrong. 52 tackles and 13 sacks. He's tied for 4th in the nation in sacks with 13. And I went in, I did a little research on him because, there are a lot of guys who can be one-hit wonders who just put up great numbers. His game tape is absolutely stunning. What I love about him, he's only 6'2", 6'3", he's 245 pounds, but he is probably the most aggressive defensive end out of all the guys. You have Randy Gregory, you have Dante Fowler, and like I just mentioned, Leonard Williams. He is without a doubt the most aggressive out of all of them. He has great pass rush moves, great hands, great speed, and he's just vicious at the point of attack. He literally looks like he's trying to hurt the offensive lineman in front of him while he's getting to he reminds me of a tiger trying to get to a piece of food, which is fitting since he plays for the Missouri Tigers. But he has been outstanding all year, and I think that anyone who doesn't take him within the top 7 picks is making a huge mistake.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you know what I love about him is I love that size. That size, that 245 range, that 6'2", 6'3", that's the kind of size that can move and, like, it is quick and it stays quick. You can put a little more weight on him, which will slow him down a little bit. But I love that weight that's just perfect and just lets him do what he is athletically born to do.
He's a guy who can put on an easy 15 to 20 more pounds without losing much to any speed. He's scheme versatile, I think, with that size. He can stand up or go down because he's just a freak athlete. He really is great, and I know a lot of people are in love with Nebraska's Randy Gregory because he's 6'6", he's 260, he's got that length and that explosive athleticism, but the simple fact is that Shane Ray has that athleticism, a little smaller, but he has the production to match that athleticism. I think that turns into a better NFL player more than potential. There's so many people with potential rather than production, and I think that Shane Ray is a guy who not only has potential to expand those array of pass rush moves, but can really make a statement in the NFL.
I agree with you.
I think it's going to be a great 2 weeks, or great 3 weeks plus, bowl season to see who these guys really step up and where they step up. And, it's sad that we're coming to the end of college football season, but there's still a lot of football left.
Didn't we just start? Like what?
We just started. We just got to college football season. That's all the time we have for this segment. Please keep looking for more of our NFL and college football end-of-season video posts, and we'll keep going here on the Roll Tide Draft Blog. All right, so now offensive rookies of the year, correct?
Offense and defense? Or you want to say that?
Yeah, offense and defense.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to another edition of the Roll Tide Draft Blog. We have another great video and great discussion here for you today. And now we're going to move to the NFL. We talked a little about college in our last posting, but now we're going to go to the NFL. We're going to talk about this previous draft class that we've gone through. And we're going to talk about who right now, through Week 11, soon to be Week 12 tonight, who is our offensive and defensive rookies of the year for the NFL. So, Herbie, let's start with the defensive side because I think we're both in agreement because he's a guy who's close to both of us. C.J. Mosley, both of our defensive rookie of the year.
There's no doubt there. And you know what? I was really conflicted because I kind of wanted to put Anthony Barr there just so we could just like do our
He's been very good too, but CJ has been all pro.
CJ's been unbelievable. I mean, CJ, it's so fun to watch him play. I mean, he's not he's not that type of player that is a crazy animal on the field and running around like a wild man. He's so smart and patient when he plays football, and he makes secure tackles. He makes great plays, and he is aggressive when he needs to be, and he's smart when he needs to be. The whole package is unbelievable. It's so fun to watch him play football, especially watch him play for the Ravens. I think he's got an interception, a couple fumble recoveries, and I think he's leading the team in tackles. I mean, he's had an unbelievable season so far as a rookie. I called him to have a slow start, but I knew the second he picked up the pace in the NFL, he'd keep flourishing, and ever since he's picked up that pace, he just improved every single game.
Has he really even had a slow start, though? I mean, he had 7-8 tackles.
For a rookie, it was a slow start.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been on our Rookie of the Weeks week after week. I think the only reason he wasn't on this past week, which you can check out on our blog as well, is simply because I week and wasn't playing and couldn't force a fumble, couldn't get an interception, couldn't break up 3 passes at the line of scrimmage. He's been outstanding, and he is exactly what you want him to be coming out of Alabama. Sideline to sideline, fits in that 3-4 defense or 4-3 defense. The Ravens run multiple a lot of times. He fits anywhere. He doesn't have a scheme. He can play any linebacker position that you need him to play. And he's been outstanding for the Baltimore defense. He is your next guy. You don't want to say he's the next Ray Lewis, but he's the next guy for the Baltimore defense to lead that defense for years and years to come. You have a great middle there in Baltimore with Darryl Smith, the savvy veteran who had a great career in Jacksonville on a lot of bad teams. Now he's come to Baltimore and can have a very successful end of his career, winning a lot more games and fitting in that scheme, and C.J. Mosley standing next to him. he's only going to get better having a savvy veteran like Daryl Smith next to him for the next couple years. And really, he might have already surpassed Daryl Smith as a rookie. He has been elite at the position, doing everything. Quarterback hurries, sacks, fumble recoveries, interceptions, pass breakups, coverage, tackling, doesn't matter. CJ can do it all. And he is the fact that the Ravens got him in the bottom half of the draft is an absolute steal. The fact that you don't have to pay him top 10 money for a couple more years, all you guys in Baltimore are just loving it.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, it really is great, especially, we drafted Arthur Brown last year, and he maybe just is not really ready yet, and I think that Daryl Smith is in the perfect place for him to grow. And CJ has just been the biggest steal of all time, and with basically the mayor of Baltimore just departing and Ray Lewis and going on to bigger and better things, it was heartbreaking. And to see this kid come in and be such a player and really do so well is just kind of it's a weight off of all of our shoulders in Baltimore that we can watch another guy with a 50 number play so well.
Absolutely. Well, let's move to the offensive side of the ball because I think we're in agreement about one guy, but really the offensive ball is a little more complicated than the defensive side of the ball as far as these rookies go. So, Herbie, I think that Mike Evans is a guy that we both like. But outside of Mike Evans, who's another guy that you just think deserves to get that award at the end of the year?
Yeah, we both agree on Mike Evans, but I'm really right in between Mike Evans. Yeah. Mike Evans and Sammy Watkins. I just think the receivers have dominated, the rookie receivers. And you can also lobby a little bit for Kelvin. The rookie receivers this year have done great things for their teams, and I think Sammy Watkins plays for the Buffalo Bills. I think that's one of your main issues. Mike Evans, however, also plays. The Mike Glennon and Mike Evans combination has worked out well, and I think they're starting to get on the same page. Because if I'm Mike Glennon and I'm trying to keep a job, I'm throwing the ball to Mike Evans every time because there's probably a 50-50 chance that he's coming down with it. He's that good of a player. And then Sammy Watkins, if E.J. Manuel had just gotten with the program and just put the ball in his hands, he'd probably still be starting too. So it's both these players have the opportunity to change around their franchises. One's, they're both playing, one's getting the ball thrown to him from Kyle Orton. I don't even know how he still has a job and who build toss-up. So I think both these guys are going to be in contention all year. I think you're right. Mike Evans is healthy now, and he's having huge games. I benched him in fantasy last week, which is stupid because he got 35 points on my bench. That was ridiculous of me. I'm not making a mistake again. But I think these guys both have the opportunity, and I think they're going to be a race all the way to the end of the season.
To me, I agree with Mike Evans. Since he's been healthy, and that's the key to Mike Evans right now, is he is healthy. But as far as Sammy Watkins goes, the reasons I'm going to give I'm not giving Sammy the edge over Mike Evans is simply because like I said, Mike Evans is now healthy. Sammy's been pretty much healthy all year, and they've had about the same amount of quarterback play. E.J. Manuel and E.J. Manuel, Kyle Orton, Josh McCown, Mike Glennon.
Right.
You're about the same level there. And, just these past 3 weeks, Mike Evans has caught up to Sammy Watkins' entire season. So that's why I kind of rule Sammy Watkins out. Obviously, I think Sammy's going to be a great receiver. Once again, he's playing for the Bills, and the Bills have been a little up and down this year, especially at that quarterback position. Not that the Bucs haven't. But to me, the other guy who I really have to throw into the conversation is Jeremy Hill for the Bengals. Yes, a little biased here, but at the same time, the production has been right there. Since Giovanni Bernard has gone out for the Cincinnati Bengals, been hurt these past 3 weeks, Jeremy Hill has made 3 starts. In those 3 starts, he has had 250-yard rushing games, and in that embarrassing loss to the Cleveland Browns, he still had 55 yards on 12 carries. Shows you he should have gotten the ball more in that game, but I can get into that argument anytime I want. The simple fact is, Jeremy Hill has had over 370 yards in 3 starts. Feed the kid the ball. I mean, it's the same thing with Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been healthy following duty. He's balled out. Jeremy Hill has become the starter because of injuries. He has balled out. He has played outstanding football. He's smart in his runs. He breaks tackles. He's shifty in the open field. He can catch and he can pass block. That's if you're getting that in the second round, you've gotten a great draft pick. And I think that Jeremy Hill, all of a sudden, just because of these past 3 weeks, the Bengals have been 2-1 with him. He had a huge game against New Orleans, in his hometown, in his home state. And just another 150-yard rushing game. I think that he's firmly, if not in the conversation, maybe even the top 3 for rookies of the year on the offensive side of the ball. He's been great.
So, not only are you making me talk about a Bengal, but you're also making me talk about an LSU Tiger. So, again, I hate you for that.
We have our own issue with LSU. We only one of us has an issue with the whole Bengal thing.
But no, you're right. I mean, I hated playing this kid when he was at LSU. He's big. He lower his shoulder on you and knock you out. I mean, he's just a great runner. And, you're right. Feed the kid the rock. I mean, Giovanni Bernard went down, killed my fantasy team, and he became the starter, and he has taken the opportunity and he's excelled. So I think you're right. I think he's a great player. I love his size, and that's such a steal when in the second round you got him. So I love that pick. Gosh, I mean, the offensive side of the ball, the rookies are just good.
Absolutely. And, it's not that the defensive rookies aren't good either, but the offensive players, which you mentioned, first few weeks it was Kelvin Benjamin, then Sammy Watkins exploded. Now we have Mike Evans and Jeremy Hill. Honestly, you can't see in the stats who might be good is Zach Martin, the left guard, the left guard for the Cowboys, the rookie out of Notre Dame. He might be the reason that DeMarco Murray is having a career year because he has been outstanding. If you watch the blocking for the Cowboys, not a lot of people do, and I don't blame you if you don't get excited over a left guard, but he has been outstanding as well.
We knew that the guy who come out this year have all excelled at different times this year. Brandon Cooks has done well. Anthony Barr has done well. Khalil Mack is probably the only good-looking thing in the Raider team. It's tough to even see him. It's all bad over there. Derek Carr is terrible, but the Raiders are bad. But this whole draft class
has his moments at the same time. Blake Bortles has his moments. Maybe someday Johnny Manziel will have his moment.
Yeah, maybe someday. Teddy Bridgewater's had his moment this year.
Bridgewater has been good too, considering
Bishop Sankey's done well. I mean, it's all. I mean, this whole draft class has been so good. So it's been fun to watch.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great race for this award here at the end of the year. We've only got a few weeks left in the NFL season before we get to the playoffs. But we're going to talk a little bit more about the playoffs on our next post. But please keep watching the Roll Tide Draft blog and catch up on our Rookie of the Year or Rookie of the Week articles, and we'll have more to come. Okay, so MVP now. MVP and Defensive Player of the Year.
Who you
got? Rodgers and J.J. Watt. I want to say Andrew Luck, but the Patriots just kind of smeared them the other week or this past weekend. So
you might be shocked in this answer here, and I'm just going to say it just to say it. I got JJ, but I've also
Von Miller, but
I've also got Rob Gronkowski.
Ooh.
It's probably not going to happen, but I'm just going to say it because I want to.
Do it. No, I am all for it. Take a risk here. Take a risk.
I'm just gonna throw it out there.
We gotta make marks, Herbie. We gotta make marks on the internet.
Gotta make statements.
Okay. So here we go. Let's dig into it.
Get weird.
Welcome back to another post here on the Roll Tide Draft blog. I'm here with Herbie May as always. Now we're gonna keep here in the NFL. We talked a little bit about our rookies of the year. But let's move on to the guys and the veterans who've been here in the league for a little while and talk about the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. So on the defensive side of the ball, once again, I think we might be in agreement, Herbie. Do you have J.J. Watt as your Defensive Player of the Year?
This is an agreement for everyone. Everyone agrees here. When you've got a defensive player like J.J. Watt, you give him $100 million, and he's playing like he wants to make a team and he's on the practice squad. I mean, you don't make players like that, and he should be a staple. Or everyone who makes big money. For the rest, if you want to play ball and you want to get recognized for it and you want to make money and you want to keep getting recognized, pick up J.J. Watt's How to Do It book, read it, and go do it. Because J.J. Watt is doing everything that a $100 million contract guy should do. He's scoring offensive touchdowns, defensive touchdowns, turnovers, sacks. I mean, there's just nothing this guy can't do, apparently. How on earth do you decide to not just, run this guy as a fullback, but, then throw him a fade into the left corner as he's a receiver? from Ryan Mallett. Like, I don't understand. Like that is your $100 million guy. The kid's unbelievable. How can anyone disagree that he's not should be the overall MVP?
What's so great? You're right. And the next How to Play Football for Dummies book should be written by J.J. Watt. I mean, and what I love about J.J. Watt, and we all love the guys who have swag and do the touchdown dances and have so much fun playing football. My favorite thing about J.J. Watt signs his $100 million contract at like 4 in the morning. Oh, I'm at the Texans facility. Let me get a workout in at 4:30 a.m. before my 6:30 a.m. workout. So, he just, did a quick workout, then did another one 2 hours later, probably had like 30 minutes of rest, then played football all day, and then went home and said, what do I do with $100 million? I don't even know. I'm from Wisconsin. I have never seen $100 million.
And you love that about him. He's just such a good addition to that team, and he's just such a great player to watch.
And then the next best quote from him is, getting a sack is better than any nightclub I could ever go to. What more do you want? He's got 9.5 on the year. He has 2 forced fumbles. He has a fumble return for a touchdown. He has an interception return for a touchdown. He has 4 fumble recoveries on the year, leading the NFL, by the way. And for the sake of argument, I wanted to make the argument for Von Miller. Then I looked at their stats. There is no argument. Von Miller is a very good football player. There's no doubt. Maybe someday he'll get this award too. Right now it is J.J. Watt. And that is it. And that is it.
It's a no-brainer.
Is about as elite as it gets, because they say it best. A lot of the guys on ESPN or anywhere else, they say it best. He is just a football player. He transcends scheme, transcends position. HGH. Well, guess what? J.J. Watt probably is the first person who will go and take a drug test. He's probably the first person in line because he's up that early whenever NFL players get tested, because he has nothing to hide. He has nothing to show, because I think he is probably the most honest football player out there, and it's so refreshing to see.
That's not HGH. That's just purebred Wisconsin, like seed eater, cheese eating, just
dairy product, corn-fed, football.
Oh my God! He's just been eating beef and corn his whole life, and it's just purebred animal.
We could go on for hours about complimenting J.J. Watt and how outstanding he is. But now let's move to the offensive side of the ball, and let's talk about the MVP of the NFL, which, J.J. Watt can throw his hat in for too. Defensive players generally don't win it, but he can throw his hat in it without a doubt. Who is your MVP? Actually, I'm going to go first because I know yours is a little controversial, and I want to end.
All right.
I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. I live in Chicago now. I have a lot of Packers fans and a lot of Bear fans around me. I watched Sunday Night Football 2 weekends ago where Aaron Rodgers was up 45-0 at halftime with 6 touchdown passes. I watched this past week where he scored 50 points again in the game, and I believe had another 3 touchdown passes, 300, God knows how many yards. And just in these last 2 weeks, to me, Aaron Rodgers has sealed the MVP. There are going to be other people who in these last few weeks get in the conversation, but I think that Aaron Rodgers is well on his way to winning his 2nd MVP of the NFL.
Yeah, he has been my fantasy savior. I have won games specifically because of him. He is an unbelievable freak, and I gotta love. You gotta love it. RELAX, relax, because we're gonna be fine. And they're
going. Rodgers produced. Relax. He produced.
Yeah, relax, and he produced, and he just shut him up. He was like, "Hey, Lambo, relax, because I'm here, and I'm gonna let Daddy go to work." And he does. He puts the ball wherever he wants. He's got a receiving core that's unbelievable. He's got Eddie Lacy taking pressure off that he apparently doesn't even need to be taken off.
Eddie Lacy has been more of a receiver than a running back this year. I feel like every time I see Eddie Lacy get in the end zone, it's on a 40-yard screen pass rather than, just a little quick out route rather than a run.
The Packers team is very good, and they have a lot to thank in Aaron Rodgers. It's no doubt he should be the offensive MVP.
But you don't agree. You agree, but you don't quite agree. Who you have the most valuable player in the NFL?
I agree, but I'm gonna get this curveball nice and wet and just throw it right in there. I'm gonna throw Rob Gronkowski right into the mix. I'm that guy. I think that Rob Gronkowski is having a tight end season unlike any other, unlike any more that we've ever seen. He's made probably one of the most ridiculous catches I've seen in my entire life. I mean, the other night with the one-handed catch was just beyond anything I've ever seen. And then he can't be tackled. I mean, he is arguably, if he keeps up, if he stays healthy and he keeps playing the way he's playing, he will go to the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest tight ends to ever play this game. He'll be up there with Ozzie Newsome. He is an unbelievable player. He's a douche, but you know what? It's kind of who he is, and that's why I think it stirs up the pot. I think it'd be a great MVP. I think he'd be a great MVP. I think it would go right to his head. I think it'd probably blow up in him at some point. But I think it's perfect, and I love his game, and it's kind of player that I'm into, and it's kind of bummed the Ravens didn't take him.
We're all about honesty here on the Roll Toddy Draft Blog, and Herbie, you're right. Ron Gronkowski, without doubt, one of the best or most entertaining personalities in the NFL, like a Chad Johnson or a T.O. without the locker room cancer. And I think that, there is an argument to be made. I don't quite think that, honestly, I think that Tom Brady is still a little bit more of a deserving MVP than Gronk. But at the same time, Gronk has come back, and since the Bengals had to play the Patriots in Foxborough on Sunday Night Football, and they lost because that's what the Bengals do in prime time, especially against a team like the Patriots who doesn't lose in prime time. Both Gronk and Tom Terrific, have been outstanding. And, they've gotten back. Gronk obviously is finally healthy. He's back in football shape. And he looks like the guy who set the tight end receiving record and touchdown record just 2 or 3 seasons ago. He looks great. And honestly, Offensive Player of the Year is not out of the range for him right now. MVP could be a stretch, but I like what you're doing. And I like what you're going with this argument, because there's absolutely an argument to be made that the resurgence of Gronk not only saved the Patriots season, makes the Patriots a Super Bowl contender, which they, you always assume they are, but they didn't look like it the first 4 weeks of the season. You get there to week 5 or 6, all of a sudden Tom Brady hasn't thrown an interception, since God knows when. The Patriots run game, and we can say that the Patriots run game is good because we don't know any of the names of the running backs except for Shane Vereen. And Gronk and his resurgence has really took them to the top, so there's something to be said that, hey, maybe the Patriots are so good again because Gronk's back, and he's playing, back at that Pro Bowl, All-Pro level. And, you're right. I think there is an argument to be made that Rob Gronkowski could be the most valuable player in the NFL.
You know me, Shake. I just like to spice it up.
There's never, ever been a doubt about that. But that's all that we have for our MVP and Defensive Player of the Year talk. But next time, we're going to get into who's going to represent the NFC and the AFC, not just in the Super Bowl, but in their conference championship games. And there's a lot of fun in that argument. So please keep watching the Roll Tide Draft Blog, and we'll keep giving out great content for you guys. All right. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome back to another edition of the Roll Tide Draft Block. I'm Baker Lehman here with Herbie May. And Herbie, we've talked about Rookies of the Year, draft prospects, MVPs. But who are the 4 teams who are going to represent both conferences, the AFC and the NFC, in their conference championship games? We have a lot of time before we even have to talk about the Super Bowl. But both teams have to win, or a team has to win both those games before they move on to the Super Bowl. So Herbie, let's move on to the AFC, because we can get the AFC out of the way. There's not even an argument here.
Yeah.
I think that the Denver Broncos and the New England Patriots will have a rematch of last year's AFC title game in Foxborough this time. These last few weeks from the Broncos have not been great, to say the least. And I think that the Patriots will come out with the number 1 seed, the Broncos out with the number 2 seed, and they will have a rematch again for the right to play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I don't know who's beating these teams. I can't believe the Rams pulled one off this past week. That was just a weird fluke game. And I can't imagine that whoever's playing in Denver this week, I don't know who they're playing. Whoever they're playing. Whoever it is not going to have a good time, because you got a pissed-off Peyton Manning, a pissed-off Denver defense that's not getting much respect at all. And I just don't think there's anyone left. And they got some tough games left in both of their seasons, obviously. I mean, it is the NFL, but God, these teams are good. And when they're on point, they're on point. When Peyton's putting the ball where it needs to be, it's a touchdown. When Tom's getting the ball to Gronk, it's most likely going to be a touchdown. So it's these two teams are pretty unbeatable in the AFC. I wish I could throw my boys in the mix, but I don't think it's our season. And I thought about putting your boys in there too, and then I was like, no way.
And when you have Jonas Gray running for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, and you don't know who Jonas
Gray, dude, that was absurd.
I picked him up.
You picked him up. I saw you do it. I think you did it right before me.
What the hell? Why not, right? Like, he's going to get carries. You know he's going to get carries. Patriots don't care who it is.
I was going through the waiver wire. I was like, what a Baker move.
Totally. Just jump on it while I can. And while you guys are asleep, I'm still at work. So I just jump on. But you're right. The Broncos had a bad week. They'll come back. They have a bunch of savvy veterans. Emmanuel Sanders has been outstanding. Demaryius Thomas is leading the NFL in receiving yards currently. They have Julius Thomas. There's no reason to think that they won't get back to the AFC title game. Patriots, they're the Patriots. They were going to always be there. It just took them, someone telling them that they weren't going to get
it took them a little adversity.
But you're right, and you're right. Ravens don't quite have it this year. They're not a bad team. They're probably still a playoff team, but they're just not quite there. We're the Bengals. I can't expect to be there. I was at the game 2 weekends ago, and the Thursday night against Cleveland. Even if we beat Cleveland in Cleveland, we're not going to probably go. That's the reality of the Bengals, man. Browns, even if they make the playoffs, no. There's not even with Josh Gordon coming back, it's not a good enough team. They might have just lost Carlos Dansby for a long period of time. Kansas City, they have a shot. Still, no. I can't see them beating. Indianapolis has a shot because they have Andrew Luck. Still, he's not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady yet. He's going to be very good, and he is already very good, but he's not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady yet. So there's just no reason to pick against the Broncos or the Patriots. But let's move to the NFC side because there's a lot more debate about the NFC side. And who do you have representing the NFC in their title game for the right to play the Super Bowl?
I think we've got the same game right here, right?
I made a last-second switch, and I'll tell you why. Please digress. For the sake of argument, I had to switch it up, and I think I have a good argument for what I have, but please.
That's fair. That's fair. Because after talking about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, I think Green Bay is the right pick to have them in there. Now, I'm going to stick with Arizona. I don't know if you actually agree with me there, but I think Arizona can still win games. I think their defense is on fire. I think Drew Stanton can get the ball to where it needs to be. And I think if you get it in the hands of Andre Ellington and Michael Floyd, I think you've got a chance to really do something. And you know what? I almost really like Logan Thomas. So I think that they've got a chance really to make a strive. The Carson Palmer thing is devastating, and honestly, the whole rest of their season rides on whether Drew Stanton can really play. But I think they've got a good enough team around him that he can afford to make a couple mistakes, and that defense can back him up. And I think that Arizona Cardinals team will be in that NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers.
Hey, honestly, and even if they drop a couple games along the way, being 7-1, 8-1 already, you have a little cushion there to still win your division, especially with how the 49ers and the Seahawks are playing a little down below the standard that we expect from those two very fine teams. Green Bay, you have Aaron Rodgers playing MVP football. You have Clay Matthews, who, once again, like J.J. Watt, doesn't care what position he's playing. He's going to make plays, and he's done an outstanding job of it. You have a secondary that the addition of HaHa Clinton-Dix has really helped Morgan Burnett out. Plus, you have a lot of corners who are football, who really are playing better than you expected this season. Even the loss of B.J. Raji has really not been that big a factor. I worry a little bit about Green Bay against teams who are run-heavy teams. But at the same time, it's hard to pick against Aaron Rodgers and the way he's playing. But you know what? I'm going to do it because I'm going to pick my next team based on the fact that I think that they are a group of guys who are just going to be back when it comes time, and that is the Seattle Seahawks.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to do it. I knew it.
I want to pick San Francisco, But I think San Francisco can't overcome their injuries.
I don't think if you weren't going to pick the Arizona Cardinals, I don't think there's another team that you could pick besides the Seattle Seahawks.
And, I think that when it really comes down to crunch time, Marshawn Lynch is going to stop being selfish and just want to play football because whoever his next team will be, and it looks like he's on his way out of Seattle, he wants to get paid, so he needs to have a big postseason and big end of year. And he's had a fine year as it is. I think that defense is going to be just fine. I don't know why people are so worried about that defense. It's not going to be an issue, and it isn't an issue as it is. What frustrates me is when I look on Twitter or I look on Facebook and the highlights are of Richard Sherman, getting burned. Oh, best corner in the league. You can't even cover Deshaun Jackson, blah, 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 whatever it is. Richard Sherman's done just fine this year, and he still is the best corner in the league despite the year Patrick Peterson is having. But when it comes down to it, a team that's been there, a team who has health and has all of those pieces that they've had last year, more people are gunning for them than they ever were before. And it is a huge difference to go from the hunter to the hunted. And the Seahawks are now the hunted. They are the prize bird that everyone wants to put on their mantle. Excuse my pun. But I think that at the end of the day, playoff and championship experience really does matter. And that's why Seattle is going to be there for another chance to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And I think it's, you saw them play week 1. I'd love to see them play one of the last weeks of the year again and just how these two teams have changed. And I think that over these next, we have 5, 6 weeks left in the NFL, I think that we're going to see that Seattle Seahawks team emerge. And the only reason I don't pick the Arizona Cardinals, despite the fact that they have beaten injury after injury after injury, it's not that I don't believe that Drew Stanton can do it, because I believe he's undefeated as a starter this season, and he just got a big win over Detroit, a close win over Detroit. I think
over that Detroit defense, though.
Yeah, exactly. I just think at the end of the day, him not having a ton of starting experience in the NFL is gonna kill him. Just when it comes down to it, Russell Wilson isn't playing great this year, but neither is the Seattle offensive line as far as pass protection goes. But at the end of the day, I just trust the Seahawks to make a healthy Seahawks team and a determined Seahawks team, to make that run rather than a beaten up, inexperienced or playoff inexperienced Arizona team.
Yeah, I think you've got the right game picked. I think I have the right game picked. The AFC is a no-brainer, but we got a lot of football left to play, and there's a couple things that there's really no dominance of power anywhere, I don't think, especially with Carson Palmer going down. Mm-hmm. So I think there could definitely be some changes here. I mean, it's gonna be fun in the last couple of weeks.
That's the only good thing about the end of the football season is it's always a wild ride.
Oh my God! Why can't it just go on forever?
Well, that's what we're here for on the Roll Tide Draft Blog, where football season never ends, because the off season is still football season as far as we're concerned. But thank you for listening to another edition of the Roll Tide Draft Blog. We'll have more posts and videos up for you guys weekly. Thank you again.
Toddy Toddy.
Roll Tide.